Thank you all for joining me today. My name is Elizabeth. You're watching Crafty Liz Creations, and today we're working on the small Unique in the Creek board. We're using this beautiful blue mesh. It's horizontal white stripe mesh. I cut it at 10.5 inches or just over 10 inches because when I looked at the thing here, it says 10 by 10, but really it was over 10 inches. So I had to cut it a little over 10 inches to get that perfect square. But you don't really need that perfect square for what we'll be doing. This is the lolly petal right here. That's what we'll be adding on to the wreath board. So as we get through all of this, I'll let you all know how many of what you need for every row. Let's add the zip ties onto the board. There's a certain way I'm adding the zip ties for this for row 1. It is going to be the rose petal that we're using for row 1. And so how I'm going to be adding is, this is the top part. These are the hanging holes up here. And we're not adding a zip tie on where it says number 1. So this board is numbered. So row 1, row 2, 3, 4, and the middle holes. And so we're not adding the zip tie onto this one here. We're going to the one on the next one. And then we're skipping, we're doing every other for this row. Every other set of holes for this row. Closing it up. Okay, every other. So we're skipping this one, and now I'm adding this one on here. So for row 1, you only need 8 rose petals, which I didn't fold yet because, again, I wanted to show you everything, try to show you everything step by step. So altogether there is 8 zip ties for row 1. So we're using the lolly petals as well as the rose petals. So you'll need 8 rose petals. So let me fold one here. So again, I did cut this with a rotary cutter. You can wood burn it if you want. And we're just gonna grab this and put it down right over here. And you make a triangle. So that's a rose petal. And you scrunch it up in here. I usually scrunch about 2.5 inches for this. Put that right in there, into the zip tie. I'm not gonna cut this down, as this will be a little help for the next row that we'll be setting in there. It's going to be a little bit of a backing, and it's going to cover the board as well. So these tails are good for this row, for this flower. You don't cut them off. Sometimes they're a nuisance and you have to cut them off, but not this time. You're leaving them in there. Because you don't see the board for what we'll be doing here. This is usually how the rose is started. You can see phrase. Again, I didn't wood burn it. You can if you want. So let's make all these rose petals and slip them in there after. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Go ahead and quickly make these. As you can see, I'm not using my 4-inch zip tie for this one, because this petal is going to be zip tied inside the next set of zip ties on these tips here. So it's going to be triple zip tied. Okay, that's 8 of those. I'll push this over here, and we're just gonna slip them in there quickly. Oh well. I'm gonna cut those tails off now. Here now is I'm gonna go in and add zip ties, so 8 zip ties altogether. And again, I'll show you why. This is all those zip ties are in there. It's best to zip up your zip ties for this doubled where you doubled up your zip ties. It's best to zip them up. I keep missing that hole there. Come on. There we go. Okay, so they're all zipped up. You grab your tail, just any one. Grab this one and the one beside these ones. This one beside the ones. So I'm just gonna grab those and tuck them into this zip tie. Tuck the tips, cross them over like the rows, right? Can you see that? You cross them, crisscross them like so. Crisscross into the zip tie. Doesn't matter which one goes in first, under, or it doesn't really matter. And so we just put them in there. Crisscross again. And you zip it up. Zip those up really tight so they won't come out. And so there's about an inch of these little points that went into the zip tie. About an inch. Okay, you go on to the next one. You're going to work on this one now. So this one, the one under this one, you grab it and you grab the next one. And you do the same thing. Crisscross into the zip tie, about an inch. I find for this one, when you do this, these can sit up a little bit. So it's up to you how much of that tip you want in there. You can put it an inch in there or a little bit more, because we want this to sit up. We don't want it to lay flat, I think, but it's your preference. So we're working on this zip tie now. So these flaps here, we go take them and put them into this zip tie. Crisscross into the zip tie. Okay, can you see that okay? we're working on this zip tie now. We're doing the same thing. We're taking these and we're crisscrossing them, the points, and we're putting them into the zip tie. Okay, like so. And zip it up real tight because you don't want those coming out. We're gonna deal with these after. You can, I went in and did this when I finished everything, so they'll look a little fluffy. Working on this one now, doing the same thing. Crisscross these tips and put them in there about an inch and zip up the zip tie. This one is, it takes longer. Row 1 takes longer to do than all the second, third, and fourth row. Those go pretty fast. Okay, zip it up. And the last one. Last zip tie. So we grab these now. Okay, crisscross into the zip tie. And zip it up. And we'll go ahead and cut off the tails. Here I'm going to add, you can always flip this over. We're doing the second row now. So I'm going to add the zip ties. I'm going to load them from the back because it's easier and much faster, because the tails on the board are, you don't have to, you know, push those tails around to get these zip ties in there. And so you load from the back and it's easier. So you need 8 zip ties for row 2. You see now why I chose the where I set up my first row zip ties, is when I lay the other petal on here, it's not gonna lay flush against this one here. It's just gonna work out right. It won't overlap, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so all those are in there. So flip it around and close these up. When you close your zip ties, when you hear that 1 or 2 clicks of the zip tie, that's where you stop. 1 or 2. So you won't over close your zip tie and have a hard time adding your petals in there. Okay, so they're all closed up. So let me show you how I folded the lolly petal. Okay, a couple of them. I'll show you a couple. Oh, no. I'll show you 4. Okay, so I'll grab this, my pins. So to fold the lolly petal, what you do is you grab your 10 by 10 or 10.5 by 10 mesh. You put it curved side up, turn it into a diamond. What I mean by that is the points are pointing away from you and towards you. So that's diamond shaped. And then you grab this one and put these points together to make a triangle. And you lay this, I'm right-handed, so I'm gonna lay it this way. And here, you're gonna pinch. And this is how I make mine. It's easier for me. So I look at this, and try to see where not the halfway point, but almost half and I pinch it there, and I push it towards the center. And then I do the same thing. I grab this, pinch it, and push it towards the center, so you get that shape. And here, I grab this flap, I call it a flap, and I just slide it over. Just slide it over. Slide it over, and you get your lolly petal. Okay, so that's the lolly petal. And here, when you finish this, you can shape it the way you want. Shape it up like that. I can do a scoop, or you can flatten it out. You can make these bigger if you want, or smaller. But for this flower, I want mine to be as big or as wide as I can make it. Okay, so put that aside. So I'll do a few more here, and then we'll quickly add them into row 2. So again, you grab this and put it this way. It's easier for me when I do this, so when I make the lolly petal like this, it's easier like this. So whatever works for you, I guess, since you probably find your own way to do this petal, your own technique. Alrighty, so look at, I like that shape. Okay, and then you shape your mold or shape your petal the way you want it. I kind of might want mine to be a little scoop and, you know, again, wide for what we're going to be doing with this here. So I'll be making more of these petals here with each row that we'll be doing here. Okay, so I'm not going to add zip ties for that one because it's going to be, I'll show you why. I'll show you rather than talk about it because I sew better than I talk. So the reason why I'm not going to cut these off, these tails off, is it's going to cover the board. See, when you add your petal, it's the tail is going to go cover this, the third row. And we want that because we don't want to see holes or gaps between these, in between these petals. So we're just going to add those, making sure my zip tie is in. I did use zip ties on some. But I'm just going to make sure my zip tie is in there. I'm going to quickly add these on row 2. Thinking about the large board. Row 3. So you see now why I added the zip ties where I did, is because they won't overlap on each other. This one is covering this one, so there won't be any gaps. So let's add these ones. These ones are much bigger. Okay, and you shape your petal the way you want it. Okay, and zip it up. Trying to make these wider on the board so it'll cover. So the bigger lolly petals, the better. So you want them to sit up too. So that's why the tails are good as well. You leave the tails long. Because for the next layer, the petals are going to sit up because of it's cushioning onto the tails that were previously set in there. Okay. So I think horizontal white stripe mess is good for this flower. I don't know if the deco mess is, but we'll see. I don't think it will cover the board real good because this one here is really thick, this horizontal white stripe, and as well as the fabric mesh is probably good too. So you shape up your petals. Doesn't really matter if they're all the same, perfect or anything, because no petals are the same in real life, right? So there's the second row that's added in there. So now we're going to turn it around and add the zip ties on row 3. Oops. Same thing. Load from the back. You need 8. When you add these zip ties in like this, you feel a little bit of resistance from the front. That's probably the tails that are there, but you can just work through those. Try to push the zip tie in like that. You ready? So all those 8 zip ties are on row 3, so we're going to close them up. So look at this one right here. The zip tie went through the mess. Can you see that? It just poked through the mess. Just leave it. Just close it and leave it. Okay. Last 2 zip ties. And let me show you how to fold a couple of them again. Put this aside. As we do need to make a few more. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's make 5 of these so you guys will understand what because I know there's some people that have trouble folding the lolly petals, so it's good to see over and over so you guys will see and understand what all happens. So just watch and I won't explain it. So that's the lolly petal again. Okay. Okay, so those are all the 8 we need to add in on row 3. Oh, yeah. Let's add it in there and we'll see. No, I don't think I did. Because again, those tails are good too. You see how this one is lifted up a little bit? It's because of the tails of these ones here. So each petal is helping the next petal look more, lift up a little more. So. Maybe for this row here, what I suggest is you don't need to close up your ties, zip ties. It's so you can have it'll be faster when you load your petal. You won't have this much, you know, noise or what do you call it? Too congested in there. Okay. Just a few more, and I'll show you what we're gonna do for the middle. So we'll need to add one more. Just zip it up. Okay. And then I'll cut off the zip ties. There we go. So row 1, 2, 3 are done. You see how you can't see the board at all now? I see parts of it here and there, but that's gonna get covered. That's what I wanted. That's why I didn't cut off the tails. Okay, so for this row, let me turn around here. It's better like this. So I'm gonna add the same way Lori folds her petal for the middle one, for the rows. That's how I'm gonna add mine in there as well. So let's fold one of those. The bud, I think she calls it, the bud. Did mine like this, and then I roll it. And then I let it open up like that. So I just pinch it right there, and then I let it open up. It's not the perfect one, but it's okay. So however you do yours, this is how I'm gonna do mine. Again, I'm just gonna let it open. Open. There we go. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add that in there. Let me grab this here. So try to find, you can cut this down if you want. I think I'm gonna cut this down now, just so I can find the middle part. The middle part of the, what do you call it? Middle part of the board. Where's my words? There it is. I can see it. Okay. Let me dump that in the garbage. Okay, there's the 2 holes. I can see them now. Let me add that in there. And I'm gonna load, oops, keep taking the wrong zip ties here from the back here. If I can, see I can't. So I'm just gonna load from through here. Those, every set of holes, you're gonna have to dig around through all those, what do you call those? Tails. Here we go. So there it is. It's peekaboo. Can be done. So again, I'm gonna dig through here. Where are you? Okay, here we go. If you were to cut down the tails, probably, I think I did that with that red one for the 3rd row. You won't have this trouble. It'll go smoothly. Okay. And that one. Let me cut some more off. And I should have cut them out, cut them down. But you're seeing this, a what not to do part here. What not to do part. Yeah, that's good. Let me dump out all that. Okay. I'm going to add the other set of the other zip ties. One more. And then we'll add the petals. This one here. Alrighty. So let's add this bud. Should I cut it? No, I don't think I should cut it. I'm gonna add this in there first. Okay. Cut the tail off. Okay. I'm gonna have to cut these down. So for this one, you can cut them down because it is gonna be kind of tight in there now because the rosebud is in there, the bud. Whoa! Okay, so set it up like that. So I did manage to make some ahead of time here. So all that mesh that you didn't cut down really helps to cover the board. But if you want to cut, again, you can cut the tails down for this last row here, or the 3rd row as well, if you want to. If you're going to try this out, whatever is easier for you is good. These ones are supposed to be standing up like this. I'm squashing down my petals for the other rows there. Cut these down. I think it's easier. So we do need to add 4 more. So let me I have one here already. We need to fold 3 more here. And I need to add zip ties for this one. So this is the lolly petal again. Sarah flower. But okay. So I'm gonna try and go in and add the zip tie in between all this junk. If I can. I wonder how I did mine. This is gonna take a while. I should have done this first. Added all the petals in there. I mean the zip ties and then but we learn as we go. Next time. I think this is so easy. You guys are gonna try this. And I was gonna add leaves and leaves, few leaves over here too. Just keep standing. It won't stand up. It's like it's sigh or something. Okie dokie. This one doesn't sit right. I'm not sure what I did. I think this one is all over the place. But this one, it just sat really well. I don't know what I did. I think the reason why is I did cut the tails down for row 3. Yeah, I think that's what I did. But with this one here, I didn't do that. So, but just so you know that you should cut down your tails for when you do your row 3. So these ones will sit better now when you do that. Again, that's how that looks. But it's not always, the flowers are not always perfect anyways too. So this is okay right here. So I'll do a few leaves here for you and then we'll add those in there. I almost forgot how we add leaves to a rose. It's been a long time. I'll probably just add one. So you guys can see what it looks like. And, oh, it's so tight in there. Okay, whoops. Good. I've been... Yeah. I'll probably go in there and cut down those tails and make this look ladies right before I take pictures and post it, because I'm not happy with how that looks. Okay. I keep forgetting how to add my petal. I better make a rose here soon. Okay, again, I'm gonna fix that. It's bothering me. But for now, I'm just gonna leave this like that. And so you can see what you can do, what you can do with, if you're gonna do this flower. I'm sort of glad you get to see the wrong that I made, the little this one, the middle part here. So this way you guys will know that you guys will know what not to do. So there's the, I don't know what flower, there's the flower, and here's the one that I made. I was going to see how different they look. That one's just beautiful and perky and looks alive, but this one, I think this one's withering away or something. So I'll just say that with this flower, it's withering away. Okay, so that's all. This one's too happy too. So that's how that's supposed to look for me. But it's not laying right, but I'll fix it and let you all see what I meant. Okay, so that's all I got for today. Again, thank you all for joining me.